Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship where your voice is silenced, your worth is questioned, and everything seems to revolve around someone else's needs? It's time to reclaim your strength. Welcome to Stoic Win, where we break down the red flags that can shatter your peace of mind and teach you how to guard your inner power. If you recognize any of these 8 dangerous signs, it's time to walk away for good. Stay strong, stay stoic, and let's win back control of your life. Number 1. It's always about her. In a balanced relationship, both partners share their thoughts, feelings, and attention. However, when one person dominates the relationship, demanding the focus be on them, their emotions, and their needs, it signals an unhealthy imbalance. The narcissistic traits behind "it's always about her." When someone constantly makes everything about themselves, this behavior is often linked to narcissism or traits of selfishness. Narcissistic individuals often seek admiration, validation, and attention at the expense of their partner's well-being. This can make their partner feel insignificant or like they are just there to serve the other person's ego. Here are some common ways this manifests. Dominating conversations. She may frequently steer conversations back to her own experiences, dismissing your input. Even when you express your emotions or seek advice, the focus quickly shifts to how she's been through something similar, or worse. Instead of listening or offering support, she monopolizes the conversation. Constant need for validation. In some cases, someone who makes everything about them might frequently seek praise and recognition for even the smallest actions. If you're always the one giving compliments or offering support without receiving anything in return, you're dealing with someone who has an unhealthy need for constant attention. Dismissing your needs. If your partner disregards your emotional needs or priorities because they don't fit into her world, it's a significant red flag. She might refuse to acknowledge your feelings, always making excuses or shifting blame onto you if you express dissatisfaction. Emotional manipulation. This behavior can lead to manipulation. She might play the victim when things don't go her way or use guilt to keep you in the relationship, making you feel as though you need to always accommodate her feelings. The psychological impact of "it's always about her." Over time, being in a relationship where your partner consistently centers herself will take a toll on your mental and emotional health. You may begin to feel insecure. Constantly being sidelined can make you question your own value in the relationship. Resentful. Feeling like you're always giving without receiving can breed resentment. Emotionally drained. When one person always takes from the emotional reserve without replenishing it, you can end up feeling exhausted. This dynamic creates a space where you no longer feel like an equal partner. It undermines your confidence and can leave you feeling like you're walking on eggshells, always having to cater to someone else's needs without your own being met. How to address "it's always about her" behavior. To confront this issue, you'll need clear communication and boundaries. Recognize the pattern. Acknowledge that this behavior is happening. Sometimes people in one-sided relationships downplay the seriousness of the issue, but it's important to recognize when you're being mistreated. Communicate your needs. Have an honest conversation with your partner. Explain how you feel when she constantly makes things about herself. Share specific examples where you felt neglected or unheard. Set boundaries. It's crucial to set boundaries with people who tend to monopolize the relationship. Let her know that your needs matter too, and that a healthy partnership requires both individuals to contribute emotionally. Evaluate the relationship. If after discussing your concerns, you don't see any positive changes, it might be time to consider whether this relationship is worth maintaining. People who refuse to recognize or address their narcissistic tendencies often struggle to foster healthy relationships. Number 2. Understanding the phrase, "I'm busy right now." While it's normal for people to be genuinely busy from time to time, repeatedly hearing, "I'm busy right now" in critical moments, especially when you need emotional support or attention, can be indicative of deeper issues. Used consistently as an excuse, it can suggest avoidance, neglect, or emotional unavailability. Avoidance or emotional detachment. In many cases, constantly saying, "I'm busy," can be a sign that your partner is avoiding you. Whether it's avoiding a difficult conversation, dodging commitment, or distancing themselves emotionally, the phrase can be a tactic to create space without confrontation. Common scenarios include avoiding conflict. Instead of addressing issues in the relationship, she may avoid conflict altogether by claiming she's too busy to talk. This prevents resolution and often leaves you feeling frustrated and unheard. Fear of vulnerability. Emotional availability is key to any thriving relationship. If she's always busy, when you need to connect on a deeper emotional level, it could be a sign that she fears vulnerability and emotional intimacy. Emotional withdrawal. Consistent avoidance may also signal that she's pulling away from the relationship altogether. When someone begins to distance themselves emotionally, they often use busyness as an excuse to cover up their disengagement. The psychological impact of "I'm busy right now." Hearing "I'm busy" frequently can lead to emotional neglect, where your needs and feelings are dismissed. Over time, this can result in feelings of rejection. Being turned away repeatedly can make you feel like you're not a priority. It may lead to feelings of unworthiness or rejection. Frustration and loneliness. A relationship where one partner is emotionally unavailable often leaves the other feeling isolated and unsupported. Communication breakdown. If critical conversations are continually put off, communication within the relationship will inevitably suffer, leading to unresolved issues and growing resentment. How to address the "I'm busy right now" behavior. If you notice that "I'm busy" is becoming a recurring excuse, it's important to address it head-on. Assess the validity. Everyone gets busy sometimes. However, if you notice that she's consistently using this excuse during critical moments, especially when discussing the relationship, it's time to take a closer look at the pattern. Communicate your concerns. Approach her with your concerns in a non-confrontational manner. Explain how her frequent unavailability makes you feel and express the importance of open communication, particularly during times of need. Request a time commitment. If she truly values the relationship, she should be willing to make time for it. Ask her to dedicate time to talk or engage in meaningful conversations. If she continues to avoid you or refuses to make time, it may indicate a deeper issue with commitment or emotional investment. Reflect on the relationship. If your partner consistently avoids emotional conversations or makes you feel like you're not a priority, it's essential to evaluate the future of the relationship. A healthy relationship requires effort and attention from both sides. If she's unwilling to engage, it may be time to reconsider whether the relationship is worth pursuing. Number 3, it's your fault. The blame game. Blame is one of the most toxic elements that can seep into a relationship. When someone constantly tells you, "It's your fault," they are engaging in a tactic called blame shifting. This is where one partner consistently avoids responsibility for their actions and instead redirects all blame to the other person. Over time, this can lead to a toxic cycle of emotional manipulation that damages your self-worth and creates an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. 3.1. The anatomy of blame shifting. Blame shifting occurs when someone refuses to acknowledge their own mistakes or shortcomings. Instead of taking responsibility, they project their faults onto their partner. This can manifest in many ways, from minor disagreements over household tasks to major arguments about the relationship's direction. Avoiding accountability. At its core, blame shifting is about avoidance. A partner who consistently says, "It's your fault," is refusing to reflect on their own behavior. They may be uncomfortable with introspection, unwilling to admit wrongdoing, or fearful of confrontation. Rather than owning up to their role in a problem, they push the blame onto you. distorting reality. Over time, blame shifting can distort your sense of reality. If you're constantly being told that everything is your fault, you might begin to believe it. This is a subtle form of gaslighting, where your partner's repeated insistence that you are to blame causes you to doubt your own perceptions. You may start questioning your actions, words, and even your self-worth. Creating guilt and control. Blame shifting is also a tactic to control the relationship. By making you feel guilty for every argument or issue, your partner subtly manipulates you into changing your behavior. You might start going out of your way to avoid conflict, compromising more than you should just to avoid being blamed again. In doing so, you give up your agency and let your partner dictate the terms of the relationship. 3.2 Emotional impact of blame shifting. The long-term emotional impact of hearing "it's your fault" on a regular basis can be devastating. Even the most confident and self-assured person can begin to question their worth when they are constantly blamed. This can lead to low self-esteem. If you internalize the blame, it can take a toll on your self-esteem. You may start feeling like you're never good enough, or that you always make mistakes. This self-doubt can carry over into other areas of your life, affecting your work, friendships, and even your physical health. Anxiety and fear. When you are consistently blamed, you may begin to live in a state of heightened anxiety. You might start walking on eggshells, afraid to say or do the wrong thing in fear of another confrontation. This chronic stress can lead to mental health issues such as anxiety disorders or depression. Resentment. On the flip side, if you're aware that the blame shifting is unjust, it can build resentment. You may start feeling anger and frustration toward your partner for constantly placing the burden of responsibility on you. Over time, this can erode the emotional intimacy and connection between you. 3.3 How to recognize blame shifting. Identifying blame shifting can sometimes be difficult because it can be subtle and masked as normal arguments. However, here are a few signs that your partner is engaging in this behavior. Refusing to apologize. A partner who consistently says, "it's your fault," will rarely, if ever, apologize. Even when they are clearly in the wrong, they will find a way to twist the situation and make it seem like you are to blame. Pattern of conflict. If every argument ends with you feeling guilty or at fault, even when the initial issue was unrelated to you, that's a red flag. Emotional deflection. When you try to address your partner's behavior, they deflect by bringing up your past mistakes or unrelated issues. This tactic is used to take the heat off themselves and focus it back on you. Number 4. My ex used to do that. The comparison trap. Another toxic phrase that can appear in relationships is, "my ex used to do that." At first glance, this may seem harmless, even casual. However, repeated comparisons to an ex can be a tool of manipulation designed to make you feel inadequate or insecure. Comparing you to an ex puts you in a competition you didn't sign up for and sets up unrealistic expectations that are unfair to you. 4.1 The dangers of comparison. When a partner consistently brings up their ex, it's important to question why. There are several reasons why someone might do this, and none of them bode well for the relationship. Unresolved baggage. A partner who constantly talks about their ex likely hasn't fully moved on from that relationship. Whether they realize it or not, they are still emotionally attached to their past and are bringing that baggage into the present. This prevents the current relationship from growing and thriving, as their focus is still divided. Setting unfair standards. When your partner says, "my ex used to do that," they are indirectly telling you that they want you to behave more like their ex. This creates an impossible standard for you to meet. Every relationship is unique, and trying to mold yourself into someone from your partner's past will only lead to frustration and resentment. Insecurity and control. This phrase can also be used as a tactic to make you feel insecure. By comparing you to an ex, your partner might be trying to lower your self-esteem, making you feel like you need to change to keep them happy. This is a subtle way to control your behavior and ensure that you conform to their expectations. 4.2. How comparison affects the relationship. The repeated use of phrases like, "My ex used to do that," can have several negative effects on both you and the relationship as a whole. Erosion of self-worth. When you are compared to an ex, especially in a negative light, it can chip away at your self-worth. You may start questioning your actions, appearance, or personality, wondering if you'll ever measure up to someone from your partner's past. This constant self-questioning can lead to feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. Jealousy and resentment. It's natural to feel jealous when your partner frequently mentions their ex. Even if they claim the comparisons are harmless, it can stir up feelings of jealousy and resentment. Over time, this can lead to trust issues and a breakdown in communication between you. Lack of emotional presence. When a partner is focused on their ex, they aren't fully present in the current relationship. This can prevent emotional intimacy from deepening, as they are still emotionally attached to someone from their past. This lack of emotional presence can leave you feeling unappreciated and undervalued in the relationship. Number 5. Pointing out flaws. Emotional erosion. When a partner frequently points out your flaws, it can be incredibly damaging to your self-esteem and overall mental health. This behavior often manifests as unconstructive criticism, where instead of offering helpful feedback, the partner focuses on negatives. For instance, comments like, "You always do this wrong," or "Why can't you be more like someone else?" can make you feel inadequate and unworthy. Over time, such remarks can accumulate, leading to emotional erosion where you begin to doubt your worth and abilities. Criticism, when done constructively, can lead to personal growth. A supportive partner might say, "I noticed you struggled with that task. How can we tackle it together?" This approach fosters an environment of collaboration and improvement. However, the constant focus on flaws creates a toxic atmosphere where you feel like you are walking on eggshells, fearful of making mistakes and facing backlash. Power dynamics. The act of pointing out flaws often serves to establish a power dynamic within the relationship. The partner who criticizes may do so to elevate themselves, creating a sense of superiority. This behavior is rooted in insecurity. They may feel the need to diminish your self-worth to feel better about themselves. It's a classic case of projecting one's inadequacies onto another, making the criticized party feel inferior and dependent on their approval. In a relationship characterized by constant criticism, one partner typically holds more power than the other. The criticized individual may start to feel trapped in a cycle of seeking validation, trying to meet their partner's ever-evolving standards. This imbalance can lead to resentment and emotional withdrawal, where the criticized partner may become less engaged or even start to question their own perceptions of reality. The cycle of self-doubt. As the criticized partner internalizes this constant barrage of negative feedback, they can develop a pervasive sense of self-doubt. This self-doubt may manifest in various ways, such as over-apologizing, avoiding situations where they might be judged, or even isolating themselves from friends and family. The fear of judgment can become paralyzing, preventing them from pursuing opportunities or expressing their thoughts and feelings openly. Moreover, this cycle of self-doubt can lead to anxiety and depression. Feeling constantly inadequate can create a sense of hopelessness, where the criticized individual believes that they will never be good enough, not just for their partner but in other aspects of life as well. This emotional burden can take a severe toll on mental health, making it essential to recognize and address such toxic dynamics early on. Recognizing the signs of toxic criticism. Overgeneralization. One of the primary signs of toxic criticism is overgeneralization. Phrases like "you always" or "you never" indicate a tendency to label behaviors rather than discussing specific incidents. For instance, saying, "You never listen to me," ignores any positive interactions, and instead paints the partner in a negative light, leading to further defensiveness and conflict. Lack of constructive feedback. Another hallmark of toxic criticism is the absence of constructive feedback. If your partner points out flaws without suggesting ways to improve or offering support, their intent may not be to help you grow, but rather to control or belittle you. Constructive criticism aims to foster improvement and build understanding, while toxic criticism serves to undermine and create division. Comparisons to others. Making frequent comparisons to others, especially ex-partners or friends, can further intensify feelings of inadequacy. Statements like, "My ex used to do this better," are particularly damaging, as they introduce unnecessary competition and can lead to jealousy or resentment. This tactic is often employed to create insecurity, forcing you to strive for unrealistic standards set by another person's past relationship. Breaking free from the cycle of criticism. If you find yourself in a relationship where pointing out flaws is a common occurrence, it's vital to assess the situation critically. Here are some steps to help you navigate this toxic behavior. Reflect on your feelings. Take some time to understand how the criticism makes you feel. Are you feeling diminished or unworthy? Recognizing the impact of the behavior is the first step toward addressing it. Number 6, I have no one else. The burden of responsibility. When a partner says, "I have no one else," it can evoke a sense of guilt and obligation. This phrase is often employed as a manipulative tactic to keep you tied to them emotionally. The underlying message suggests that your departure would leave them alone and vulnerable, making you feel responsible for their well-being. This emotional burden is particularly insidious, as it places the onus of their happiness on your shoulders. While empathy for a partner's feelings is natural, it's crucial to recognize that healthy relationships should not be built on guilt or emotional pressure. A partner should find joy and fulfillment within themselves, and not rely on you as their sole source of support. Emotional blackmail. The statement, "I have no one else," can also function as a form of emotional blackmail. By expressing that they are isolated or without support, the partner aims to create a sense of obligation and guilt, manipulating your emotions to ensure you stay in the relationship. This tactic can be particularly damaging, as it preys on your compassion and fear of leaving someone in distress. Emotional blackmail often leads to a toxic dynamic where one partner feels compelled to stay in the relationship out of guilt, fear, or obligation. This can result in a cycle of dependency, where the manipulated partner feels trapped and unable to leave, fearing the consequences of their departure on their partner's emotional state. Recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation. Guilt-inducing statements. Statements that evoke guilt, such as, "If you leave me, I don't know what I'll do," are clear signs of emotional manipulation. Such comments create a sense of responsibility that can lead to feelings of anxiety and dread, as you may feel like you are abandoning someone who is emotionally fragile. Isolation tactics. Partners who frequently express feelings of loneliness or isolation may also attempt to isolate you from your support system. By making you feel guilty for spending time with friends or family, they can maintain control and keep you focused solely on them. Lack of independence. Another indicator of emotional manipulation is a lack of independence. If your partner relies solely on you for emotional support and is unwilling to seek help from others, it can create a sense of obligation. Healthy relationships involve both partners having their support systems and interests outside the relationship. Breaking free from emotional manipulation. If you find yourself in a situation where your partner uses phrases like "I have no one else" to manipulate your emotions, it's essential to take steps to regain control of your well-being. Here are some strategies to help you navigate emotional manipulation. Acknowledge your feelings. Recognize that your feelings of guilt and obligation are valid, but they should not dictate your choices. It's essential to prioritize your emotional health and well-being. Set clear boundaries. Establish boundaries regarding what you are comfortable with and what you are not. Communicate these boundaries to your partner and hold them accountable. Encourage independence. Gently encourage your partner to seek support from friends, family, or a therapist. While it's important to be supportive, it's also essential for them to develop their own support system. Reassess the relationship. Take a step back to evaluate whether the relationship is healthy. Consider whether you feel uplifted and supported or drained and obligated. Seek professional help. If you find it challenging to navigate these dynamics on your own, consider seeking the help of a therapist. They can provide guidance and support as you work through the complexities of your relationship. The path to healthy relationships. Understanding the signs of toxic behaviors, such as constant criticism and emotional manipulation, is vital for fostering healthy relationships. Mutual respect, support, and open communication are the cornerstones of any successful partnership. When you find yourself faced with behaviors that diminish your self-worth or manipulate your emotions, it's crucial to take proactive steps to address the situation. Whether through open dialogue, boundary setting, or seeking professional guidance, reclaiming your emotional health is essential for your overall well-being. Number 7. You are cheating. The destructive power of false accusations. When a partner accuses you of cheating, particularly without evidence or based on irrational suspicion, it raises a serious red flag. At first glance, this might seem like an expression of insecurity, but repeated false accusations can have far-reaching consequences, both for the person being accused and the overall relationship. This behavior can stem from various emotional, psychological, and relational issues. First, projection, the mirror of guilt. Projection is a psychological defense mechanism where someone transfers their own undesirable feelings, motives, or behaviors onto another person. In the context of a relationship, a partner who accuses you of cheating might actually be deflecting their own guilt. If they are engaging in dishonest or disloyal behavior themselves, accusing you shifts attention away from their wrongdoing and places you on the defensive. This strategy is manipulative because it diverts your focus toward proving your innocence rather than questioning their actions. You might find yourself trying to explain or justify your every move, while their suspicious behavior goes unnoticed or unchecked. This kind of deflection is particularly harmful because it erodes trust and distracts from the actual issue at hand, their potential infidelity or dishonesty. 2. Insecurity and attachment issues. Unfounded accusations of cheating can often stem from deep-rooted insecurities within the accusing partner. People who experience anxiety, fear of abandonment, or low self-esteem may be more prone to suspicion, believing that they are not good enough to keep you committed to the relationship. This insecurity may come from previous experiences, such as being cheated on in a past relationship, or from personal issues like low self-worth or attachment-related trauma. These insecurities, if not addressed, can manifest in constant questioning, paranoia, and baseless accusations. Instead of working through these issues through open communication or therapy, they place the burden of their insecurities on you. As a result, you may feel smothered by constant suspicion, which can lead to emotional fatigue and dissatisfaction. 3. Guilt, manipulation, and emotional blackmail. In some cases, accusations of cheating are used as a form of guilt manipulation or emotional blackmail. The accusing partner might use these allegations to gain emotional control, making you feel guilty for something you didn't do. This guilt can be wielded as a tool to control your behavior, pushing you to be overly transparent, apologetic, or emotionally dependent on their approval. For example, they might demand to check your phone, monitor your whereabouts, or ask you to cut off contact with friends of the opposite sex. All of this is designed to make you feel that your every action needs to be scrutinized and justified. This form of control can become suffocating and may gradually isolate you from other sources of support, such as friends, family, or work colleagues. 4th, trust breakdown. The core of emotional safety. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and baseless accusations of cheating erode that trust over time. The partner who is being accused may begin to feel distrusted, no matter how faithful or open they are. Over time, these false allegations can create resentment and hurt feelings, making it difficult to foster a positive, loving connection. For the accused, constantly having to defend themselves can also lead to a sense of isolation and anxiety. You may feel as though nothing you do is ever enough to prove your loyalty. This emotional strain can turn the relationship into a battleground where love is overshadowed by suspicion and defensiveness. Moreover, false accusations often force you into a no-win situation. If you deny the accusation, you might be accused of lying. If you overcompensate by offering excessive transparency, you may reinforce their controlling behavior. This toxic cycle can take a heavy toll on your mental health and the overall well-being of the relationship. 5. Signs of deeper trust issues. Accusations of cheating often indicate deeper trust issues in the relationship, whether from past trauma or current dynamics. A partner who accuses you of cheating might not feel emotionally secure within the relationship, which can lead to irrational fears. These fears, when unchecked, can spiral into paranoia, controlling behavior, and emotional abuse. A healthy relationship requires both partners to feel secure and confident in each other's commitment. If one partner is constantly on the lookout for signs of betrayal, the relationship is likely to crumble under the weight of doubt. Both parties need to be willing to address trust issues openly and seek solutions together, whether that means working through personal insecurities or attending therapy. Number 8. Obey me. The dark side of control and dominance. The phrase "obey me" is more than just a command. It reveals a troubling dynamic of control and dominance in a relationship. When a partner demands obedience, it signals a clear power imbalance and a desire to assert dominance over the other person. Let's explore why this phrase is so harmful and the various ways it manifests in toxic relationships. The power imbalance. A sign of dominance. Healthy relationships are partnerships built on equality, mutual respect, and shared decision-making. When one partner demands obedience, it creates a power imbalance where one person is in control and the other is expected to submit. This dynamic often leads to feelings of helplessness and inferiority for the person being commanded. The partner who demands obedience is essentially asserting that their needs, desires, and opinions are more important than yours. This behavior is often rooted in a desire to control various aspects of your life, from daily routines to larger decisions about career, finances, or social interactions. Over time, this imbalance can strip you of your sense of autonomy and agency, reducing you to a passive participant in the relationship. 2. Disrespect for boundaries and individuality. A partner who demands obedience is likely to have little regard for your personal boundaries, opinions, or individuality. They may expect you to conform to their preferences, make decisions based on their needs, and abandon any sense of self that conflicts with their worldview. This disregard for your boundaries is a form of emotional abuse, as it prioritizes their control over your well-being. In a healthy relationship, both partners should feel free to express themselves, set personal boundaries, and make independent decisions. However, when one person insists on obedience, they are essentially denying the other person's right to autonomy. This lack of respect for boundaries can lead to emotional exhaustion, loss of identity, and a sense of entrapment in the relationship. 3. Control as a tool of manipulation. Demanding obedience is often part of a larger pattern of controlling behavior. A partner who seeks to control you may do so in various ways, by dictating what you wear, who you spend time with, or how you manage your time. This control can extend into every aspect of your life, from personal choices to social interactions. Control in relationships can manifest subtly at first, with the controlling partner presenting their demands as concerns or advice meant to help you. Over time, however, these suggestions turn into commands, and failure to comply may result in punishment, whether through silent treatment verbal abuse, or withholding affection. This kind of control is insidious because it gradually erodes your sense of freedom and autonomy. You may begin to doubt your own decision-making ability or feel that your partner's demands are justified because they care about you. However, true love and care involve mutual respect, not dominance and control. 4. Emotional abuse and gaslighting. Partners who demand obedience often engage in emotional abuse and gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation where the abuser makes you doubt your own reality, perceptions, and feelings. For example, they may tell you that your resistance to their demands is irrational or selfish, making you feel guilty for asserting your own needs or desires. Over time, this form of abuse can erode your self-esteem and confidence, making you more compliant with their demands. You may start to believe that your role in the relationship is to obey and serve, rather than to be an equal partner. This mindset is dangerous because it enables further abuse and control, trapping you in a cycle of submission and emotional dependence. 5. Isolation and dependency. Demanding obedience can also lead to isolation, as the controlling partner may restrict your interactions with friends, family, or colleagues. They may view these relationships as threats to their control, fearing that others will encourage you to stand up for yourself or leave the relationship. By isolating you from your support system, the controlling partner deepens your emotional dependency on them. You may start to feel that they are the only person you can rely on, further reinforcing the power imbalance. This isolation can make it difficult to see the toxic nature of the relationship, as you have no outside perspective to challenge their behavior.